As you mentioned, Magnus, he's one of my absolute favorite characters as well. And I was just wondering, I know that you've had some fans who have been kind of opposing you on the whole keeping him Asian in movies. Just wondering if you can elaborate on how you feel about that and if you've had any opposition from the studios and things as well, because I'm hoping that by the second movie for the World Initiatives that Maya will still be African American.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I will definitely talk about that.
It's an interesting question.
It's a very interesting question. Magnus is Asian. This is something that people often read the books and don't notice or go on past, even though it's kind of a part of his character. So, you know, I made a post on my Tumblr a while ago about how I felt very strongly that he should be cast in the movie with an Asian actor, and that, you know, I would be very sad if they cast me with a white actor, and I'd prefer if people would stop asking me if they would, you know, cast this guy or this guy or this guy who wasn't Asian, because I really felt that that would do a big disservice to the character, that, you know, there are already lots and lots and lots of great roles for white people, but really not so many great roles for any people of color in Hollywood, and they tend to get offered the same kind of roles over and over again. And Magnus is I thought, a really fun, great role. I mean, you get to be this guy who's a warlock, and you get to have you get a big romance, and you get, you know, to be a fighter, and you get to be, you know, a powerful wizard, and you get to be, you know, a guy that has wild parties, but also a guy people who come to you for advice. And I was like, it's a fun part, and it's not what usually gets offered to Asian actors, which is lab techs, doctors, and gangsters. So I was like, you know, this is the thing I feel strongly about. And I didn't, you know, I had given the producers and whatnot a précis of all the characters broken down by their appearance and race. And I said, this looks like this, Magnus is Asian. And I did, of course, get the cast list back, and it was all white people. And I was like, no. So that was, I mean, we did have, I will not say that we had like a knockdown, drag-out fight. We had a conversation in which I was like, you gotta not cast this character white. And they were like, he's Asian? And I was like, it's in the books. The screenwriter knows. It's actually in the script. The door is opened by Asian man. I was like, there it is. You know, and I know she put it in there so you wouldn't forget. And I gave it to you in my notes. So this is not something that you can be like, whoa, we didn't know. And they were like, oh, you didn't notice. And I was like, this is really, really, really important. Like, you know, really don't want to mess this up. This is important to his character. You know, don't do this. And I mean, they were kind of, I think, what's unfortunate is that so much of the stuff that comes out of Hollywood and is pretty racist is done, I think, not with the intention of a bunch of people sitting down and going, they're going to do a really racist thing right now, but it default into the assumption that everybody is white and everybody is straight, unless you are specifically and repeatedly told otherwise. So I was like, okay, I guess it's my job to specifically and repeatedly tell you otherwise. And they agreed, and they were like, okay, you know, you feel this strongly about it, and your fans feel this strongly, and I was like, they do. You know, we will audition only Asian actors. And they so far have auditioned only Asian actors. So I am optimistic, because you can't, you know, cast somebody that you haven't auditioned, and they have auditioned like 100 Asian actors. And, you know, they've auditioned some really great people that I really like, and they're doing actually this week. Last week they did what they call chemistry reads, which means they bring in actors to read with Lily or Jamie to see how their chemistry is. And that's like the serious last step before casting. So they did Simon reads all last week and the week before with Lily, and this week they're doing Magnus. And it's all Asian guys. So I'm really optimistic that that's going to happen, and I'm really happy about that, and I hope that that means that they'll continue to listen to me about the characters that are not white for the rest of the series, and that they won't cast Raphael white, and they won't cast Maya white, and they won't, you know, cast all of the other characters of color white. So I've got my fingers crossed.
I'm going to try to come over this way. It's largely been a question of how long the string is. When I say string, I mean cord. It turns out it's this long. So anyone from this side will have to come to me. I don't mean to be demanding. Or you'll have to scream. How about this side? This side is gone. Well, you've made it very easy. Hold on, let's see what beautiful object. Oh, you got one of the special ones. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Otherwise, I'd be basically clotheslining everybody.
Spoiler that
right hum through this if you have rested lost souls. Alec and Magnus get back together. What do you mean back together? Should Alec and Magnus have any relationship troubles in the City of Lost Souls? I mean, I can't tell you, really whether they get back together or not, or what happens, with them.
Can you tell me?
What?
Will you tell me?
I mean, maybe later. It depends what you do for me. Okay. Well, we'll figure it out. Like, usually with writers, you can tell them your secrets because you have kind of a mutually assured destruction. Like, you're like, you tell me what happens in your books, and I'll tell you what happens in my books, and then if you screw me, I'll screw you. So, if we have an even exchange of information, I'll tell you. But I guess I would say, I feel like what happens with Alec and Magnus, in City of Lost Souls is a progression. I knew actually, when I put out City of Lost Souls, a lot of shocking stuff happens in it, but that would probably be the thing that would upset people the most, because really, they really, I think, thought of them as not people who would break up, that they're pretty solid. And I think that they were pretty solid, but there's always been these kind of issues, and one of them is, if you put together two people, one is immortal and the other one is mortal, you're going to run up against that issue. And with somebody
time and time again.
Time and time again. I know. It's like, maybe Maureen is 6.5 million years old.
Super old.
That's run up against this issue many, many times. And Alec is such a sensitive person that this would be something that would really, I feel like, be a big issue for him pretty early on. And also, like, Magnus never tells him anything. I mean, I feel like this is one of those breakups where both people did things that were problematic. Alec did, obviously, I'm not going to say what Alec did, but obviously a very problematic thing. And but Magnus also never tells him anything, doesn't tell him how old he is, doesn't tell him where he's from, won't tell him his real name, anything about his parents. I mean, that's really a lot of key information about the person that you're dating to not have. And I think it makes Alec very nervous and untrusting. And out of that nervous untrustingness, he did something that was not so good. So I think that, obviously there's certainly a possibility that they could get back together. It really rests on both of them changing a bit. Magnus would have to become more open about who he is, really. And Alec would have to I think that Alec is a very strong person. I think he would have to kind of display that strength so that Magnus doesn't think of him as somebody that needs to be protected from the truth.
It's rough. That is rough.
It is rough.
Okay.
There's a lot of crying and emo music in the next book. And Alec, drunk dialing Magnus a lot.
Now, if I wing this at you, it would probably hit someone else in the face. However, can I take that chance?
Underhand.
A little underhand?
Go for it.
Let's see how good I am.
Yeah.
I used to play softball. It doesn't weigh very much.
I want the picture.
It doesn't weigh very much.
Okay. For both of you, and I guess Sarah looking up there, she wants.
Oh, there she is.
Hey.
That's Sarah Reese Brennan up there. No, that's Sarah Reese Brennan, and that is not Sarah Reese Brennan. One of them is not Sarah Reese
One
Brennan.
of those people is my husband, but I'm not going to tell you which.
I don't even know.
I never told Maureen anything.
Seriously. Where am I? I came here in the trunk of a car.
Let's make a room up front.
Who are you people?